Order this 18th day of January 2024. Time is 6:30. Roll call.
Ann Torrey,
Here.
Raymond Mass,
Here.
Eileen Hogan,
Here.
Van Euro,
Here.
Sharon Lee,
Here.
Vincent Light,
Here.
Paul Cagnon.
Here.
Anna Cruz.
Here.
Amanda Doremus.
Here.
Eugene Horowitz, absent. Chris Havens.
Adequate notice of this meeting has been posted at Borough Hall, filed with the Borough Clerk, and mailed to the Asbury Park Press, to River Times, and the Star Ledger. This meeting is being tape recorded. In the event the applicant uses the service of the court reporter to transcribe the tapes, board requires a copy of the transcript. We will break about 8 p.m. for deliberation of testimony heard thus far in the conference room on the first floor. Public is invited to attend. However, discussion between board members and the public is not permitted at that time. No new cases will be heard after 9 p.m. The Bank Zoning Board of Adjustment has maintained a policy cutoff hour of 9:30 p.m. for its hearings. Any applicants not heard this evening will be carried over to next scheduled meeting. Pledge of allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. We have some administrative matters, so oath of office, you have to get back.
Yes.
to Amanda.
So Amanda, you could stand up and raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Amanda Dreams,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will
that I will
faithfully,
faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly
and justly
perform all the duties
perform all the duties
of the office
of a
member
member
of the Red Bank Zoning Board of Adjustment
of the Red Bank Zoning Board of Adjustment
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
I signed.
Okay. Please do your pen.
Okay, we have some meeting minutes to approve, January 4th. Minutes, would somebody like to make a motion to approve?
To accept the minutes of. I'll second them.
All in favor?
Yes. Yeah,
Yes. Any opposed or abstained?
okay, we have minutes from the January 4th, 2024 executive session to approve. And I'll make a motion to approve those.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstained?
Okay, we have some resolutions, resolution of appointment for our board attorney. Make a motion.
The motion.
I'll second.
Ann Torrey,
Yes.
Raymond Mass,
Yes.
Eileen Hogan,
Yes.
Van Euro, Sharon Lee,
Yes.
Paul Cagnon,
Yes.
Anna Cruz,
Yes.
and Chris Havens.
Yes. Okay, we have a resolution of appointment for our board engineer, Tim. I'd like to make a motion to.
I'll make a motion.
There's 3 microphones aren't working down here.
That's Shauna's way of maybe saying something.
None of these.
Where's the, is it down here?
No, somebody's plugged out. Go ahead. Just be loud.
Just yours.
It's just, once one is disconnected, it knocks out.
But go ahead.
Okay.
So for road board engineer. Who's making a motion?
I'll make motion.
Second. A second.
There.
Ann Torrey,
Yes.
Raymond Mass,
Yes.
Eileen Hogan,
Yes.
Van Euro,
I had abstained
Go.
earlier.
Sharon Lee,
Yes.
Paul Cagnon,
Yes.
Anna Cruz,
Yes.
Chris Havens.
Yes.
Okay, we have the resolution appointment for conflict attorney. Is.
Mark Lexstein.
Mark Lexstein.
Mark Lexstein,
I'll move that resolution.
second.
Ann Torrey,
Yes.
Raymond Mass,
Yes.
Eileen Hogan,
Yes.
Ben Euro,
Yes.
Sharon Lee,
Yes.
Paul Cagnon,
Yes.
Anna Cruz,
Yes.
and Chris Evans.
Yes.
Okay, we have resolution appointment for our conflict engineer, CME. Make a motion.
I'll make motion. Mayor CME,
I'll second.
Ann Torrey,
Yes.
Raymond Mass,
Yes.
Eileen Hogan,
Yes.
Ben Euro,
Yes.
Sharon Lee,
yes.
Paul Cagnon,
Yes.
Anna Cruz,
Yes.
Chris Evans.
Okay, we have 28 South Street. Up next.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, as the applicant comes forward to the desk, what we'll do is we'll just do a couple of preliminary procedural things. Is there anyone here who had any questions or comments regarding the sufficiency of the notice they received? Okay, we don't see any. And what we'll do is we will officially mark into the record what we as a board have before us. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna mark as A1, the development permit application and the denial of development permit dated September 28th, 2023. A2 will mark as the intent to proceed dated October 31st, 2023. A3 is the survey prepared by Richard Stockton, and that's dated April 8th, 2021. A4 is the plans, and that's entitled Detached Residential Garage Reconstruction and Addition. And it's prepared by Alec Shesius, RA, consisting of 5 sheets. That's dated September 22nd, 2023. We'll mark that as A4. And what we'll mark as A5 is the Shauna Ebanks Review Memorandum, and that's dated, I think it's undated, so we'll mark that as A5. And speaking of Shauna Ebanks, we will swear Shauna Ebanks in. Shauna, you are a professional planner. You are the borough's Director of Community Development. Do you swear that the information and testimony you're about to provide, to the extent you provide any, will be the truth, the best of your knowledge, to help you God?
I do.
Thank you. All right, and what we'll do is, oh, okay.
No, I got notice, so I have to.
I gotta excuse myself too, Kevin.
Okay, so what we'll do is Eileen and Paul Cagno will recuse themselves, and Alina, just, our ordinance says that the minutes have to reflect that and the resolution has to reflect that, so we'll put that in. And all right, so what we're gonna do, we'll swear you both in. If you could just state your name, please. All right, M-A-R-K.
You need to speak right into the.
You can pick it up.
M-A-R-K-Y-A-I-S-E-R.
Okay, and do you swear that the information and testimony you're about to provide will be the truth, the best of your knowledge, to help you God?
I do.
Okay, and your name, sir?
Al Shasias,
And that's S.
H-I-S-S-I-A-S.
All right, do you swear that the information and testimony you're about to provide will be the truth, the best of your knowledge, to help you God?
Yes.
All right, and just for the record, you're testifying tonight in your capacity as a licensed architect?
Architect and landscape architect stated the truth.
And just for the record, are your credentials all in order, license certifications all up to date? Okay. And just before we begin, I would just like to state one thing procedurally. I believe this application requires a use variance because it's a three-family home right now, which is not a permitted use. And technically, by adding on or adding elements to the site, it's arguably a expansion of a non-conforming use. So there's a couple of legal standards that are involved in obtaining use and D variance relief. And most notably, it is the requirement that for this application to be approved, you need 5 of the 7 yes votes. So only 7 people will vote, Shauna, but you need 5 affirmative yes votes. So unlike sometimes in the rest of the world where a majority wins, this would need 5 yes votes. So if you have a seat, and Mr. Chairman, would you mind if I just to get the record flowing, ask the applicant a few questions, and then we can turn it over to the applicant?
Please, Mr.
All right.
Kennedy.
And why don't you sit at that the table, just because that you're gonna have to, the mics are sensitive. So just for the record, we were talking about 28 South Street. And Mr. Yeager, are you the owner of that property?
I am,
And how long have you owned it roughly?
since 2016.
Okay, and do you live at the site or no?
I do not.
Okay, and my record suggests that it's a 3-family home at the property? Okay, and Shauna, that's a pre-existing non-conforming use, we think?
Correct.
And then just for the record, what is it, units A, B, and C, or 1, 2, and 3? 1, 2, and 3? All right, and then just so that we have this for the record, in unit 1, how many bedrooms?
2.
And in unit 2, how many bedrooms?
2.
And in unit 3, how many bedrooms?
1.
And then for number of bathrooms, unit 1?
1.
That's 1 bathroom, unit 2?
1.
And unit 3?
1.
Okay, and is unit 1 occupied?
Yes.
Is unit 2 occupied?
Yes.
Is unit 3 occupied? Okay, and then just, are there any parking spaces dedicated for unit 1?
No, in the drive, the tenants just use the drive.
Okay, all right, so and I know you're proposing a new garage, so why don't you you're gonna present it, whether it's you or your architect, present information about what you're proposing, why, and what variance relief you need.
Well, I'm doing it because there was an existing structure there that the roof, I guess, had fallen in right before I bought it. And they left the footprint and the concrete walls up. And I'm just getting around to finishing it off and to provide 3 off-street parking spaces for the tenant.
So is there a garage there now, or?
The walls of the garage are up, but there's no roof and doors or anything.
And what, had the residents been parking in that? I'm sorry, had the residents been parking in that?
No, it was unusable.
All right, and so why don't you tell the board about, and whether it's your architect or you, about why and the size and style and things like that?
I'll let Mr. Shishayas go over all those details, but again, the reason that I'm doing it is to provide 3 off-street parking spaces for the tenant because it's unusable in the present.
Yeah, so when Mr. Yeager and I started looking at the structure, again, just to clarify.
Just for the record, what you're referring to is what's been submitted into the record as evidence.
No new exhibits, yeah, this is all what you guys have. They're basically, right now, they look like freestanding masonry walls. Clearly, there's a structure there. At some point, the roof fell in. Was a garage at some point. The problem is right now, if we were just to add a roof on top and work within that, the interior clear dimension is only like 16, a little over 16.3 I had. The problem is even on older garages that are 20 feet deep, that barely gives you enough room. That's kind of the old standard. Today, if you're doing a new house, ideally you're doing about 24 feet deep. And what that does, it gives you a more comfortable space to maneuver around the car in the front and the back with the garage door closing and also some storage like workbench type storage. So that's kind of today's. So, you know, I mentioned Mr. Yeager, I said, look, if we just refinish this as is and just work within the existing footprint, you're not gonna ever really park a car in here, maybe something really small. So, what we're proposing is that when finishing it, extending the front to, I think I had 23.8, we're trying to work with masonry forcing inside, so almost 24 in the main bay. And then the other bay, for a little bit of architectural interest, we stepped it back a few feet just to reduce the apparent scale. And that's about 21.8. So that's really driving the square footage. So that again is where, that's why we're here tonight, is because that puts us over the 500 square foot limit, which is measured to the exterior of the structure. I'll go over the elevation real quick. You can see pretty simple structure, doing a gable in front to add some element. These are two garage doors to the main bay, not one big single door, but something to break the scale down. And here's a third bay that I mentioned to just break the scale up a little bit. So that's pretty much the way that we're seeing the project. As far as the variances required, and this is in the report, one is that the largest accessory structure permitted is 500 square feet without counting as principal structure. The proposed is 1,022. Existing as is 738. So it already is over. Again, the whole point's to add parking and storage. There's really no point to just building within the footprint as is. So that's driving this. There's two other new proposed, well, they're not new, but they're existing. Would be the side yard setback, 8 feet required. Currently it's 3.1. Technically, we're extending within that slightly in the front there. And then the rear yard setback is also 8 feet and it's 1.9 existing. I think a couple things to consider specific to the site is that the lot is somewhat oversized, almost 11,000, minimum lot in the area is 6,500. It is actually a pretty deep lot at just under 200. It's about 190 feet deep. So the structure is pretty far away from houses in general. There's a neighbor to the south, that's the left side if you're looking at it from South Street. But to the south of the property that has a similar sort of structure, appears to be fairly large as well from what we can see. And then the other thing, as Mr. Yeager is saying, I think the benefit is that it's going to provide a lot of storage, up to 3 parking spaces. And again, we're trying to work with the existing structure that we have. Given that it's a pre-existing non-conforming use with 3 apartments, that's obviously a decent amount of parking that's needed. I think this helps in that. So hopefully that kind of balances out, the overage on the square footage. So that's what I have to start.
I can see how you want to provide parking for your tenants. Are you planning on earmarking, each tenant will get 1 space in the garage?
Yeah, that's the plan.
And if that was the plan, then why didn't you design it so there were 3 separate garages? So there's like a physical security between each of the garages.
Yeah.
We never went over that.
I mean, if I was going to get a garage, I'd want to be able to have a safe space to put my items or my car and not have to share a space with somebody else.
Yeah, like I said, we were using the original footprint that was there, so I guess the thought process was just to keep it the way it was.
Oh, okay.
The existing walls were already there, so I just kind of took that plan and went with it.
Well, from an architectural perspective, does it make sense to have 3 separate garages for a 3-family house?
I was kind of running the numbers. If we did divide it, you'd end up with 2 14-foot bays. Kind of unique situation. I don't know that there's a standard. If it's just a car, I don't think it would be an issue. It might be better to have a little more room in that double bay. But I guess if people were storing private, whatever it may be, that probably would be a benefit. I would imagine too, there may be stuff that's more common, like, probably have landscapers coming from off-site, but if there's equipment like that, I don't know that separating the bays would make sense. Yeah, we just, it wasn't something we really talked too much about.
Everybody's using the basement as common storage area now. So that's, I guess, why it didn't come up.
The only reason that one bay is separate is because there is an existing masonry wall there. That's the only reason that's separate right now.
But you're planning on taking it all down and rebuilding from scratch?
No, I think we'll be able to use the existing masonry,
Okay.
believe it or not, yeah. Sometimes on jobs that, it starts that way and then a mason may come in there and if they see something different, you may rebuild some of it. But the goal is to reuse what's there.
Thank you.
Are you aware of any of the footings that are below this? We've seen recent garages where the walls, you assume that the footings are adequate.
Yeah.
Having lived in town so long, I know that we can't expect that adequacy below.
Yeah.
So is it an assumption that you're gonna save them or?
Yeah, the assumption is we're gonna save them. This type of, normally when I see block walls, or masonry walls like this, they normally do have footings. Brick walls traditionally don't have true footings, spread footings. It already has a lot of weight on it, presumably it's settled. We're not actually adding that much weight. Most of the weight's gonna be added in the front and the back, and that's really wood framing.
And a roof structure?
Yeah, the roof structure is relatively light compared to the weight of the actual masonry itself. So, I would assume it would have a footing. Normally what I do when the final construction runs, I may throw something on there to say contractor to confirm footing prior. I'm not too concerned with the weight that we're adding here. Sometimes when you're adding like a full floor, it's a little more, so definitely, so.
Now, is there any variance requests for lot coverage? I didn't see a table. That direction, that would be great.
It's on the first page,
First page?
the zoning regulation chart.
Lot coverage, we are actually conforming on the front sheet under the zoning calcs in the mid left. I've got it broken out. And the maximum permitted in the zone is 35%. And 22.8 is existing 25.5.
And it's an asphalt driveway?
Yes. And I think under the Red Bank ordinance, existing driveways don't count.
That's
Asphalt driveways do, don't they?
If it's existing, if they are improving it, that's when it starts counting. It's weird again. The ordinance reads weird.
And I never understood.
Yeah, it's.
Are you,
Will you be leaving the asphalt driveway as is?
The driveway is in dire need of repair, so it would be redone
Uh-huh.
after the garage would be complete.
They would have to get a variance then to do the driveway if it's new. So they wouldn't be allowed to have an asphalt driveway again.
Unless you wanna, can they add this to the application?
Then it would increase that lot coverage. You'd never be able to do an asphalt driveway again if you repaired it. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong.
Driveway afterwards?
Like what type of repairs would you, I mean, you can.
Yeah.
Kevin, is it possible or because they didn't notice for it? To add the improvements to,
I know there are some interested, well, there appear to be some interested members of the public. Can I get back to you on that? And let's, we don't necessarily know if people would have been interested in that. And so that might be an issue that they didn't
Yeah.
notice for that.
because it's, I mean, it's, as long as it's in the same footprint and he's not planning on expanding it. I mean, yeah, it gets pretty complicated, that question. Chris, did you have a question?
Yes, are you keeping the floor slab, 700-foot plus floor slab,
That would get redone.
being torn out?
Yeah, the slab would get torn out.
But what are you keeping? I know
What's that?
you're keeping masonry
Yeah.
walls, some of the masonry walls, not all.
The majority, there's a little bit up at the front that will,
Gotcha.
but
I have a question. In your drawing, you show like a lift to do 2 cars. Is
Yeah.
that something that you plan to do?
we were leaving flexibility within the height. We wanted to show down the road if someone wanted more cars for some reason. I don't think that would happen. We want to see what that would look like within the height limits. So,
And just speaking to the mic,
oh, sorry. Yeah, so, yeah, we were looking at if down the road there was some need to add more cars or anything like that. We're just showing Mr. Gazer the height that you do have available within the zone limit of 16 feet.
Okay. And then, just going back to probably improving driveway. Part of your driveway belongs to the adjacent property based on that survey.
It's a shared driveway.
Yeah, it's a shared driveway, so,
And we were gonna redo it and then the guy moved out and then we.
yeah, we would run into an issue with that.
What's here?
Yeah,
And there's a way the ordinance were, and maybe it's my interpretation. I thought it was that if you extend or expand the driveway, that counts toward the coverage.
let me just do a bit of research while
Yeah.
to move on to public comment.
This is chain of vinyl fence goes around the driveway. No picket goes.
Any other questions for
So it's on.
Just real quick, the exterior is like a shingle or siding or something that will look similar to the house?
So what we were doing, I think we we're planning on doing stucco, just because it's masonry.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, then, or you'd have to do siding on the.
This is the shape.
Stucco on the side or pack it out. But if we were to get approved, I wouldn't want to constrain to one or the other if Mr. Diego decided to do siding.
Thanks.
any other questions from the board?
Mr. Chairman, can I just ask a couple real quick questions just for record keeping purposes? Now, the height you said is gonna be 16 feet,
Yep, 16 max.
and how many stories per se?
I would call it 1 story.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is this going to be used for living purposes at all?
No.
And just for the record, what type of utilities are you proposing to have in that structure?
Just electric, some lighting for the doors, on any man doors as well, and a few outlets within.
So electric, yes, heat,
No,
water,
I don't think so.
No.
gas?
No.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Just to answer the question about the lot coverage, so lot coverage is defined in our ordinance as, the lot area covered by buildings, structures, and accessory buildings or structures expressed as a percentage of the total lot area for purpose of this chapter. Parking areas and automobile access drive shall not be included in lot coverage to the extent required by ordinance, except that any new or expanded paved driveways for 1 and 2 family dwellings shall count toward lot coverage. New or expanded lot coverage for 1 and 2 family dwellings utilizing gravel, concrete, tire channels, or decorative pavers shall not count towards lot coverage. So that's another thing. It says 1 or 2, it doesn't mention anything about multifamily.
But a standard family home, which is the rest of the neighborhood, would
Right.
not be allowed to do it.
Yeah, it's, like I said, there's issues.
And I guess, is it safe to say that because 3-family homes are not permitted in the RA zone, maybe the RA zone didn't specify standards for that lot coverage, maybe? I mean, is that,
Well, this was in a definition, not really.
oh, okay,
Zone
got it.
regulations.
Okay, any other questions?
I do have a question,
It doesn't work, Chief.
but my wife's, the mic is not working. The question is, are your units that you're building, do you have any intention of renting them independently of the apartments, or are they already attached per apartment? Will they rent with the apartment?
It would rent with the apartment.
Okay, so you would not be doing any independent leases on storage for landscape companies, et cetera?
No.
Another question. So in the ordinance, it's 2 parking spaces per the dwelling unit. So if any of your tenants decide to have a second car, they can park it within that asphalt parking area?
Yes, they have been.
Okay.
Where does this shared driveway fit in? How's your neighbor using the driveway?
My neighbor to the right, we both pull into the same drive and they have 1 sliver and then I have 1 sliver, mine goes to the back.
Yours goes to the back and then it widens out enough for 6 cars?
It widens up, 4 cars.
Okay, well, you need for 6, right? Because you have 3 apartments, right?
Yeah, you would need for 6.
There's been 4 back there, I've never counted for 6.
But if
I'm just,
each of your tenants have 2 cars, can 6 cars fit back there?
Yes. Especially after the garage.
That's true.
so that would be the 3 spaces inside the garage and
Okay, any other questions from the board before I go to questions from the public? Okay, we'll close that. Any questions for this witness from the public? Okay, close public portion. Any comments from the board on this application?
I think it's great that you want to provide covered, sheltered, secure parking for your tenants. And as long as you allow each of your tenants to have a parking space that's part of their rent, I'm fully in favor of this proposal.
Can I ask a question? Can I just have more clarity on the driveway thing? Like you're not allowed to repave, like fill in potholes or anything like that?
You can do maintenance. Yeah, maintenance to your driveway, but to expand it or to do a whole new one, then it would count towards your lot coverage for one family or two family, but it's silent when it comes to multi.
So you can repair the same footprint
Yeah,
with no problem, but if you wanted to redo the same footprint new,
yeah, it gets kind of muddled with that, yeah.
I'm a little bit concerned about the storage. You're doing storage. I think that because you have so many people, I mean, what, two's company, three's a crowd. So you've got 3 units, you're gonna have 3 spaces. I think that they should be independent and partitioned in some way, shape, or form. It's only a matter of time before everybody doesn't get along. And everything can't be in the basement so if you're going, I mean, we're really talking about a multiple unit here, dwelling unit, and security for each unit. It might save you future problems.
yeah, I'm okay with that.
Anybody have?
Well, you could also install something inside the single building where people could store securely if they.
Yeah, put a chain link fence down the middle. I mean, just.
See that you need to make 3 little garages.
Oh, no, I'm not saying 3 little garages. I'm just saying
Oh,
partitions of some type.
I understand.
okay.
I would say based on how you're describing the current situation, it would automatically be an upgrade for the tenants, right? Like
Exactly, it's an eyesore.
if they're parking loosely in the lot right now and storing in the basement, anything additional would be, I assume, welcomed, right? Yeah, I agree. I'd be in favor. I think it definitely improves the situation.
And just in case it's ever that situation where there's that one neighbor that parks too close to your car in, a garage, that may help, like Sharon says, make it more neighborly to where no one's complaining that someone hit their car or scratch it.
Shy enough from that box. You just don't know who took it.
Okay, any more comments from the board? Do we have any comments from the public at this point? No? Okay, close the public portion. Somebody like to make a motion to approve or deny this application based on Mr. Kennedy's summation of things?
Sure. So during the public hearing, I took notes about some potential conditions. And one would be, obviously, it's, let's see. Shauna, did I read somewhere that the unroofed structure in your review memo, did I say that that's going to be removed?
Yeah, I had it that it was gonna be removed.
But that's not.
From his testimony, it's
Okay,
gonna remain
got
the
it.
same.
And then I think, Shauna, in your review memorandum, you had you wanted some type of representation that it would not be utilized as living or sleeping purposes, the garage.
That's correct.
And sometimes, Mr. Chairman, the board, if they're gonna approve it, they sometimes want a deed restriction. I would refer that to you all. I think sometimes in similar situations, you do want a condition about only, electric utilities, not, again, to further that it would not be utilized for living purposes, none of the other utilities. We usually have a condition, compliance with all the promises, commitments, and representations the team made throughout the hearing, compliance with Shauna's review memorandum, compliance with any affordable housing obligations, if any, getting any necessary outside approvals. we usually have a requirement that any building permits be issued within 24 months of the approval or of the adoption of the resolution or any extension thereof. And then we also talked about a couple of things. In no.
Kevin, as a condition to also put no business to be operated,
Commercial.
no commercial business to be operated outside of the within the garage.
Perfect. No commercial business operations within the garage. And we usually have no further expansion or intensification absent further approval from the zoning board. We have now just Shauna, do I need to say anything? They're gonna attempt to use the existing masonry. Now, if they can't, is that something that they need to come back here or?
They should notify us. If you are unable to use the existing, notify the
Foundation.
voting office, just to let us know, like Amanda stated, we did run into that where someone did get an approval to do that, and then once they started digging, they saw that there was absolutely no footing. And because it was unroofed for so long, the weather and whatever happened with, the sediments and soil, it just, the footings was lost or it just never happened.
So I think if that situation changes, you have to notify Shauna and then she can notify you whether or not any formal approval is required. It may or may not be. And then I think we also wanted, I think there was a concern that we just note for the record that we encourage you to check the load capacity and footage capacity, just double check that for liability purpose. And I guess Shauna, with regard to the driveway being redone, are we saying that that's gotta be done in if it's done, it's gotta be effectuated in accordance with ordinance and they gotta submit development permit to you to figure that out?
Yeah.
Okay,
Not now, later, whenever.
if needed. And we also have I have here the Sharon rule, and Vince, it's not to be rented. These garages are not to be rented independently, they're to be rented with the apartments, no separate leases, and Vince, I think you had said no separate charge. Or did I mishear that?
Well, that's what they said.
Okay, got it. And we also have, let's see, it's storage only for the 3 tenants. It's not storage for non-tenants. And I think Sharon, we said some type of internal partition of the storage area. Is that what,
Garage area.
Yeah.
the garage area? Now, Amanda, you're gonna have to help me read this tomorrow when I try to read this. And then, okay, I think that was, Mr. Chairman, that was the gist of the conditions. Mr. Yasser, do you understand those conditions?
Yep.
And you're okay with them?
Fine.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, now, would anybody like to make a motion to approve or deny this application?
I'll make a motion to approve the structure.
Second.
Ann Soering,
Yes.
Raymond Mass,
Yes.
Ben Euro,
Yes.
Sharon Lee,
Yes.
Vincent Light,
Yes.
Anna Cruz,
Yes.
and Amanda Rings.
No.
So do we go to the next?
No, if it's 7, you count 7.
Correct. So that application is approved. 6 yeses and 1 no. You needed 5 yes votes. You got 6. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Motion to
Adjourn.
Second.
Second?
second.
I'll second.
Second motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yes.